Hey everyone, I'm Zed and welcome back to the hardware series, where in today's video we're going to be talking all about the hard disk drive. While the rest of your PC runs on silicone chips, this device uses magnetism and moving parts to store your data. It is the reason that cheap, massive storage actually exists. We will be looking at the engineering inside, explain exactly why it's slower than an SSD, and why they are even still relevant today. Let's break it down. Let's start with the definition. A hard disk drive, or HDD, is a non-volatile storage device. Non-volatile is just a fancy way of saying it doesn't get amnesia when you pull the plug. Contrast that with your RAM, which is volatile, meaning it forgets everything the moment it loses power. A hard drive, however, magnetically locks your data into place effectively forever. To understand the difference, think of your computer like a busy office. The CPU is the worker, RAM is the desk in front of them, and this is where the worker keeps the papers they are currently working on right this second. It is fast and everything is within arm's reach, but the desk is small. You can only fit so much on it, and if the lights go out, the desk is instantly wiped clean. The hard drive? That is the metal filing cabinet across the room. It is massive, and it can hold thousands of folders from the last 10 years. But if you need a file from it, you have to stop working, stand up, walk across the room, and open a drawer, and that takes time. We don't use hard drives because they are fast, we use them because they are the most reliable and spacious digital filing cabinets we have. So how does a device with no microchips, just metal and magnets, actually store your photos? Inside this metal casing is the work of some precision engineering. First, you have platters. These are discs made of glass or aluminum, coated in a super thin layer of magnetic material. These platters spin and can vary in speed. On the low end, they can spin as slow as 5,400 RPMs. And in high-end drives, these platters can get up to 15,000 rotations per minute. That is faster than the engine of most cars on the highway. And floating above those spinning platters is the actuator arm. At the very tip of that arm is the read-write head. Now here's a mind-blowing part. The head never actually touches the disk. If it touched, it would scratch the surface and destroy your data. And that's what's called a head crash. Instead, it rides on a cushion of air created by the spinning disk. The gap between the head and the platter is roughly 3 to 5 nanometers. To put that in perspective, if the read-write head were a Boeing 747, it would be flying at 600 miles per hour just 1 inch above the ground, and counting every blade of grass without touching a single one. Now when you save a file, the drive has to do a physical dance involving 3 distinct steps. Step 1 is seek time. The actuator arm has to physically swing out to the correct track or ring on the platter. Think of this like a record player moving the needle to find the start of a specific song. It's fast, but it still takes time to travel that distance. Step 2 is rotational latency. Once the arm is in the right lane, it has to wait. It hovers there, waiting for the spinning disk to bring the specific empty sector underneath the head. It's exactly like standing at an airport baggage claim, waiting for your suitcase to come around the carousel, or you can't grab it until it comes to you. And step 3 is the transfer. Once the arm is in place and the sector arrives, the magnetic head finally turns on and writes the ones and zeros. That combination, traveling to the track and waiting for the spin, is what we call latency. And that is exactly why hard drives feel slower than SSDs. That physical movement, swinging the arm and waiting for the spin, is where the slowness comes from. And because of that mechanical design, hard drives have a very sharp divide between what they are good at and what they are bad at. Let's first talk strengths. The biggest one is cost per gigabyte. Right now, a 4 terabyte hard drive is roughly $80. A 4 terabyte SSD, you're looking at $300 or more. That price gap is massive. It's the difference between constantly uninstalling games to save space and just keeping your entire library installed forever. Then there is maximum capacity. If you need massive storage, 16, 20, or even 22 terabytes, hard drives are effectively the only consumer option. You generally cannot walk into a store and buy a 20 terabyte SSD. They usually just don't exist for normal people yet. The limitation, however, is latency. Latency is reaction time. Because the drive has to physically move a mechanical arm, it takes milliseconds to find the data, where an SSD uses electrons, which takes microseconds. This is why installing Windows on a hard drive feels so sluggish today. Your operating system doesn't just read one big file, it reads thousands of tiny files scattered everywhere to boot up. A hard drive chokes on that. It's the difference between a librarian handing you one big encyclopedia versus asking the librarian to run around the building and find 5,000 different index cards in 10 seconds. The librarian isn't lazy, she just physically can't run that fast. So if SSDs are effectively instant, why are companies still building millions of these mechanical drives every year? Well, that's because hard drives have shifted roles. In the early 2000s, the hard drive was the race car driver. Today, it's the semi-truck. It isn't built for speed anymore, it's built for heavy hauling. Today, hard drives dominate in 3 specific areas where scale matters more than speed. First is bulk storage. If you're a video editor with 40 terabytes of raw footage, or a data hoarder with a massive home media server, you aren't putting that on SSDs. That would cost you thousands of dollars. Second is endurance. Think about security systems. They record video for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That constant hammering of data can actually wear out cheaper SSDs. Surveillance hard drives are built physically tougher to handle that non-stop stream of data for years. And third is something people often forget: catastrophic failure. When an SSD fails, it usually dies instantly. The controller chip shorts out and your data is gone forever. But because a hard drive is physical, if the motor dies, the data is still magnetically written on the platters. This makes it much easier and more successful for data recovery experts to rescue data from a dead hard drive than a dead SSD. This is why the cloud runs on hard drives. When you upload a file to Google Drive or iCloud, you aren't floating in the sky. Your data is likely sitting on a mechanical hard drive in a server rack in Virginia or Iceland. And when instant speed is the priority, SSDs win, but when you need to store the history of your life cheaply and safely, the hard drive is still the king. And for most of us building a PC today, the best approach is what we call a hybrid storage strategy. You don't have to choose one or the other. You hire both of them, but for different jobs. Your primary drive, or your C drive, must be a fast NVMe SSD. This is where Windows lives. It's where you install Chrome, Discord, and your competitive multiplayer games. When you launch a game like Call of Duty or Valorant, you want that instant loading. You want the system to feel snappy and responsive. But then you throw in a 4 or 8 terabyte hard drive as your D drive. Think of this as your digital warehouse. This is where you dump your family photos, your 4K movie library, your completed video projects, and maybe even your backups for your phone. This approach gives you the speed of flash storage where you feel it, and the cheap capacity of mechanical storage where you need it. Understanding this balance is the key to budget building. You don't need to spend $300 on a high-speed SSD just to store PDF files and Word documents. Overall, don't mistake older for useless. The hard drive has simply evolved into a specialist. It gave up the sprint so it could win the marathon. As our digital lives get heavier, with high-res photos, backups, and massive game libraries, we need that raw capacity more than ever. So when you plan your next build, don't ignore the humble hard drive. It won't win any speed races, but it will carry your data further and cheaper than anything else. I hope this video gave you a better understanding as to what hard disk drives are, how they work, and why they are still relevant today. But now I want to hear from you. In your main PC right now, are you running pure SSDs, or do you still have a mechanical spinning hard drive in there? Let me know your setup in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, hitting that like button actually helps the channel a lot. And consider subscribing if you want to see the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, keep growing.